What's good? Sunday morning. Happy Sunday morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a good weekend. I'm on here to talk about one Jordan Peterson. This dude is impressive. Jordan Peterson is an impressive dude. And he just recently joined the Daily Wire. And he came up indirectly in a kind of a rant I did on Elon Musk not the Twitter deal falling through. If you don't know Jordan Peterson, most people on this channel probably would. Anybody in the cabal avenue would know who he is. He's always come across to me as very humble and measured and open to assuming this is what I want to do, is what I've always done in my life, is assuming when you go into an interaction, you're assuming that someone has good intent. You're not going into, like, if I were to meet anybody on the channel or not on the channel, just pretend YouTube was in the meta universe and you could just meet people. I would go up to someone, talking to them, assuming they had good intent. I don't care if they had blue hair or if they had a LGBTQ flag on their shirt or what. I'm going to go into the conversation until you show me that you don't have good intent. I'm going to go into the conversation assuming that you have good intent. And I believe that that's the type of dude Jordan Peterson always has been. He's always been like a humble, like, oh, like, you know, when you broach a subject, you're like, oh, I don't know. I played that clip where it was years ago. He was on Bill Maher and he was like, yeah, you know, the things that I'm seeing in America, they seem a little different. He was very gracious and soft when he talked about, is it really the right thing to ostracize everyone who kind of is in the Donald Trump populist part? Because, you know, what happens if you ostracize like half the country or 33% of the country? And he was very gracious in broaching the subject. He's written great books. I've read, I believe it's 12 Rules for Life is the one. He has a ton of them. I'm not that versed in him, but I have been, especially over the last couple of years, reading on him. And he's very soft. I mean, he's not like some far right dude. Never been that. Never been like some far right radical dude. He's had some takes that I've been like, that's cringe, bro. But overall, great. I mean, overall, it's not about, do I agree with somebody on everything? It's like, what's the thought process? He had that video that it's got like 300 million views when he went at that UK woman, I believe, in the interview. And it was good discussion. And what's happening in our country, I'm going to do a little react to Jordan Peterson. He got banned on Twitter. What's happening in our country is that the people on the left or pro-authoritarians are pushing people on the non-left into being activated. And the reason why I'm using the term activated is I don't want to make it come across as, because I feel like I've been activated ever since the summer of love. And I saw the nonsense going on. And it's still going on. With recently the death of Jalen Walker. I believe his name is Jalen Walker, right? Yeah, Jalen Walker. People protesting this. This dude was doing all kinds of dirt. And you're out there in the streets protesting? I'm seeing this. It's activating me. And I want to use the word activate. I don't have a huge vocabulary, but the reason why I'm using that word is because I don't want to say radicalized. I've not become radicalized. I've seen who the radicals are, and you've activated me to say, no, stop. I'm tired of you pushing me. I have not seen it. Thanks for stopping by, Dieter Andrew. I have not seen it. I got to go see it. I'm seeing all kinds of clips, like he went at Elon and Sarah Palin and all that. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to have to, probably right after this while I'm doing dishes or something, listen to that rally. I saw it was hype, though. I saw like clips on Twitter. It was hype. So it's tough, man, because I'm a DeSantis guy right now. I don't think Trump's the right one for this moment as far as president, but they go after Kavanaugh. He's going to eat dinner, and they're protesting. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Karine Jean-Pierre and Biden and all of them, they're like, hey, they think that's peaceful. They think that's okay. Obviously, if you reverse the roles and Andrea Ocasio-Cortez was eating dinner, and could you imagine people that would be considered on the right protesting her while she was eating dinner? She'd be running. She would have the Capitol Police out there so fast, people hemmed up in a paddy wagon and hauled off to jail. You remember that one person came at her at Twitter, some mild tweet making fun of her word salad, a kind tweet, and literally within, I think it was the next day or something, he got knocked on the door by Capitol Police. And she's out here like, oh no, this is just peaceful stuff. 3 weeks ago, somebody had a plan to unlive Brett Kavanaugh. This isn't happening in a vacuum. And obviously, if you unlive a Supreme Court justice, who gets to choose the next one? So they're activated. And I tweeted, like, y'all gonna turn, Kavanaugh's not even that far right to me from some of his rulings. You got two people who are really true originalists for the Constitution on the Supreme Court. That's, to me, Alito and Thomas. And Kavanaugh, ACB, they're ish. They're like originalists-ish. But this stuff, you're pushing them more away. You're not convincing them to do anything. And that's what's happening with Jordan Peterson here. Jordan Peterson released a video. He hooked up with Daily Wire. Here's a video. I did do some testing. I do not expect an echo. If I do have an echo, you're going to see a meltdown live on this channel right now. Because I actually practiced it before I did this. So I don't expect an echo.
Hello, everyone. A few days ago, I penned an irritated tweet in response to one of the latest happenings on the increasingly heated culture war front.
So this is about Twitter. And obviously, don't let anybody tell you that Twitter doesn't matter. He's doing a whole video about it. He's doing a whole video about getting banned off of Twitter because that's the town square. I mean, you put it together with YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. That's the town square. So he's been banned off a segment of the town square. And you got it. When you're banned off of one segment of the town square, you're in danger of being banned off of all of the segments of the town square. Jen Psaki even said that out of her mouth. She said, if you're banned on one, you should be banned on all. The government, the president, the voice of the president said that. So if you don't know why, we're going to go into that.
In response to the decision of an actor named Elliot Page, I am employing this awkward and impossible naming style because it is now apparently mandatory, and am probably doing it wrong nonetheless, as you're doing it wrong is the whole point of what has been made mandatory. But also, I'm trying to make a point. I've essentially been banned from Twitter as a consequence. I say banned, although technically I have been suspended. But the suspension will not be lifted unless I delete the hateful tweet in question, and I would rather die than do that.
This is the problem with defining hate. There's a lot of ignorant leftists who you'll chat with in person or online, and you'll tell them, well, you can't ban hate speech. And they have good in their heart, but they're just ignorant. And they are on the side of those who have power right now. So they're fine with the people in power defining hate right now because they agree with them. They don't understand you can't define hate because Jordan Peterson did a tweet. I don't support the tweet. I don't think the tweet was productive, but how many tweets on Twitter are productive? I wouldn't define it as hateful. If you want to call it hateful, then go ahead and do that, but he shouldn't be banned for that. Go ahead and block him if you don't like him. Thanks for the super chat, Dieter Andrew. Watch D. Dongxing's 2019 Remnen University speech. I will. I am not familiar about that at all. Let me go ahead and kind of make a note of that so I don't forget. All right. Thank you, sir. This is where we are now. Someone defines hate, and then they can say, well, we're going to ban you based on hate. Wait, what's the hate?
And hopefully it will not come to that, although who the hell knows in these increasingly strange days. What was it that I said that caused such a fuss? And that fuss is just beginning. And even more importantly and complexly, what exactly was it that I said that resulted in the ban? Here is the tweet in question. Remember when pride was a sin? And Ellen Page just had her breasts removed by a criminal physician. Then a link to a story that detailed out the happenings. The response from Twitter, quote, violating our rules against hateful conduct. You may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. By clicking delete, you acknowledge that your tweet violated the Twitter rules.
See, now you done messed around and activated a man that was pretty humble. No, I don't. Jason Bracey said, do you think Peterson was cry bullying here? No. Here's my take. This is a kind of a complicated one because I think he's making a mistake by not bending the knee. But I do not blame him for being angry, though. I do not blame him for right now calling out the hypocrisy. What he's angry about is he did this tweet. I don't agree with the tweet. I think it was kind of reckless, and because he called the doctor a criminal or something like that. That's reckless, and especially with no like proof of that. And it wasn't productive. So it wasn't a great tweet. Okay, everybody has bad tweets. The problem is they are so powerful. They can say, hey, bruh, we don't like your tweet. That's basically all they said. We don't like your tweet. We'll call it hateful or whatever we need to call it to block it. We'll leave it up. If you want to continue on our site, bend the knee. Acknowledge your hate. No, bro, I didn't hate anybody. So I don't blame him for being angry. The bigger problem is, though, this is the town square. I'm a guest on YouTube. I can't talk about everything I want to talk about on YouTube. So either I play by the rules, which is to me the smart play, so I can talk about what I can. I'm talking to you right now. Why would I talk about something I can't talk about and then get banned? I mean, it can happen accidentally, but why would I? So if YouTube gave me the opportunity and I made a mistake or something in their eyes, and they say, hey, you got to delete this video and then you can stay back on, I'm deleting the video and staying back on. The ironic thing is he talked about pride as a sin. And now, to me, it looks like he's making pride his own sin. Like, it's not at the level of pride that he's talking about because he still has a voice. He's still on YouTube and all that. But he's letting his pride get the best of him. So is that clear? He's not a cry bully. I don't blame him. And the big takeaway is the Twitter thinking that they can ban Trump, Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, Jordan Peterson is a suspension, technically. Them thinking that they can do that and that it will help their cause is backwards. It's wrong. You're only activating Jordan Peterson. Now he's with Daily Wire. I wouldn't be surprised if that just motivates him to come stronger, to be less like Andrew Yang. Over time, Andrew Yang has become softer and more acquiescing to the narrative. Jordan Peterson's going to fight back politically. So you're activating Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's doing this video to activate his people, his fans, and to bring them over to Daily Wire to make Daily Wire more powerful. So Twitter's not accomplishing anything. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't dangerous to Elliot Page. It was unseemly. It was disrespectful. But okay, so what? You can be disrespectful. I don't know what Twitter's looking to accomplish. It's not accomplishing anything. Obviously, they want to get people to, they want to exert power. They want to kind of ban people so then you can talk about them. So you ban Alex Jones. This really pisses me off. You ban Alex Jones off Twitter, yet then you clip his clips and then talk about him on Twitter. Same with Trump and everybody else. And I'm like, that is some of the most dog-ish stuff I've ever seen people do. Can you imagine? It's like, okay, I'm kicking you out of the town square, but then I'm going to talk about you behind your back and you can't even talk back. That's un-American. It's just, forget about Americans, a lack of morals. It's disgusting. I'm not going to talk about someone banned on the platform unless I give them a chance to respond. So if you want to talk about Alex Jones, go to his site and talk about him. Or go to Gab or somewhere where he could be if he wanted to talk about him. I don't know if he's on there or not. But no, this is not a cry bully thing. This is serious stuff. They're exerting power over you. They're exerting force over you. The government wants to ban, they want to control speech, so they want to ban people. And he's Canadian, but he's obviously he's deep into American politics, and this is a global thing. So the government wants to shut people up. So they want to shut Jordan Peterson up. They can't do it directly. So they go to these companies, they contract with these companies, they make deal with these companies. The Michael Sussman, the DNC lawyer, Hillary's lawyer, is deep in with the company. They're tied into the establishment. Who knows what government contracts? I've heard Tim Pool and other people bring that up. I don't know if they do or not, but like national security type stuff. We know they have government contracts, but we don't know if there's like national security stuff saying, hey, we can do whatever we want type stuff behind the scenes. So they do all that. So basically, they're just a government entity. What's the difference? They're a government entity. I think Steve Bannon calls them the administrative state. So they're really the administrative state of the government. They ban Jordan Peterson. So that's basically the government banning him. Then they say, bitch, get on your knees. You did a hateful tweet. Delete the tweet. So I don't blame him for saying, man, this is some dumb stuff. I'm not getting on my knees for you, but we got to understand, what is your principle? So right now he's getting press for Daily Wire, which is perfectly fine. He's trying to, big him up at this moment, but Elon's not buying Twitter. You gotta change your mind and backpedal off this. I didn't like him saying I'd rather die, because that's really strong coming from him. It's very strong coming from him. So now how do you backtrack off of that? So I'll play a little bit more and then I'll just end. I'm going to end on a happy note with Daily Wire. This is not a black pill video. It's actually a good thing. I disagree with him trying to put his pride before the political battle. He acknowledges this in the video. I'm probably not going to get to that because it's 15 minutes, but in this video, he acknowledges this is a cultural war and we need you on the battlefield. That doesn't mean I agree with everything he says. Who do you agree with on everything? I don't know why people get into that mentality. What we need is a counterbalance. Daily Wire is a counterbalance to the establishment narrative. Now, they are, I think, an establishment organization, but they don't ostracize people who are against the establishment. That's very important.
Delete. If you think we've made a mistake, submit an appeal to us. Please note that should you do so, your account will remain locked.
So then who do I appeal to? The same clowns who suspended me in the first place.
While we review your appeal, let's take this apart. First, it is clearly the case that I did not promote violence against or threaten anyone with my...
That is it's opinion, but it's a valid opinion to have. With his tweet, he did not do anything. The tweet was this misgendering type of thing. It was disrespectful. But here's the thing about the tweet as well. He was talking about Elliot Page, who is now a man. And he was going back to the past. So he said that Elliot Page, so he used her dead name, is a 2022 term. He used his dead name, calling him what she was when she had the breast removed, because she was a she at that point. And he's like, well, what do you want me to call her? That's what she was at the time before she transitioned. So, and he knows, though, this is a man that is one of the best with his, one of the best in the world that I've seen with his vocabulary and choice of words. So he knew that this was going to be a problem. But he has a point, though. How is he supposed to describe it? He's supposed to call Elliot when at the time Elliot was transitioning? That's a hateful tweet? There's no way. If you're being, it is opinion, but if you're being real with me and you say, no, that's hateful, then I don't trust you. And I don't even want to talk to you anymore, because you're that dude that Matt Walsh talked about that doesn't believe in truth. And I think you'll do anything to lie about me, to hate me, because you're not being real right now. That's how important this is.
Let's take this apart. First, it is clearly the case that I did not promote violence against or threaten anyone with my missive. So that leaves the arguably lesser sin of harass. Let's assume, since I wasn't informed, that that was the crime. And further, harassment on the basis of so-called gender identity, since Twitter did not do me the favor of actually specifying my crime, and there are many possibilities on that front.
That's another problem. My number one concern when MAGA gets influence, if they ever get influence in DC, is this. This is the number one concern. We're doing a cultural war. We need to have a voice. There's nothing more important. And what he's saying is, wait a second, I'm suspended and they don't even have to give me an exact reason. Why can't the government force more of an exact reason? It's just vague. So basically it's like, we suspended you because we wanted to.
Fortunately, have to guess at why this has occurred. And that's actually a big problem in and of itself, and also indicative of the utter carelessness of the Twitter organization with regard to the propriety of its own censorial actions. I should at least know exactly what I did wrong.
Jordan Peterson is not normally this angry. This is, for him, very heated on camera. I don't know if I've ever seen him. Maybe some people who watch him more could say, I don't know if I've ever seen him more upset on camera.
If I'm required to acknowledge that my tweet violated the Twitter rules. What rules, you sons of bitches? Exactly. Precisely.
This, y'all done messed around, dog. Y'all done messed around and turned this bruh into something. I'm excited to see this next arc of his story right now. I sped up the video here just a little bit because I got to get out, and I want to get a little bit more in. Let's bring that back one more time.
I should at least...
And this is probably pre-scripted.
Know exactly what I did wrong if I am required to acknowledge that my tweet violated the Twitter rules. What rules, you sons of bitches? Exactly.
And I don't think he swears that much from what I've heard from him. And yeah, this is more than just Twitter M-Ball. Oh, this is way more. This is the government through Twitter. So imagine if we didn't have the Constitution. Would they fine you? That's what they're doing in other countries. Would they jail you? It goes to what they want to do. Why do you think they're going after the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court is the only thing really stopping them right now. Could you imagine if Hillary Clinton was president and you had a wackadoo Supreme Court and they were all in charge? It would be that time to get ready to learn how to play the banjo in the gulag and hope they give you a banjo. It would be that time. So it's way bigger than Twitter. Keep in mind, and if I'm right, I could be wrong, but I think this is the government The rules from Twitter represent the cabal, Republicans and Democrats, and the interests behind them. That's what that represents, what they want to do.
Precisely. Because such things matter when the accusations start flying. So what did I say that might constitute harassment? Well, many things, hypothetically. Let's begin with, remember when pride was a sin? Although that is merely a factual statement, because under the old rules applicable even...
That's not a factual statement. Obviously, not everybody believed that.
A decade ago, pride...
I agree with it, but not everybody agreed with that. I mean, it's opinion.
Was a sin and had been recognized as perhaps the cardinal sin for thousands of years previously. It still might be regarded as unacceptable to the woke authoritarian moralists who now insist, for example, that we celebrate Pride Month, not hour or day or week. But
I understand why they call it Pride, because there's a history of being disrespectful and discriminatory to those who identify as LGBTQ. So now it's like we have pride in who we are. So I completely understand that. But they have to also acknowledge the danger of pride. Pride can be a positive thing. It can also be a negative thing.
But month, and to have literally called it Pride Month instead of LGBT plus month or whatever else alphabet acronym which is currently insisted upon as the only acceptable enlightened.
See, this is the problem. He's being disrespectful in his tone with LGBTQ. This is the problem when you use that identity as a negative. I played that OAN talking head, Allison, who was yelling at the LGBTQ flag. I don't think he or her have any beef with LGBTQ people. What they have a beef with is this identity has been used, and in this case, literally used as a weapon to silence him. Nobody else gets that same treatment. I said Candace Owens always gets called, she gets misracially identified as a white supremacist. What's the difference? She doesn't have that umbrella. They don't give her that same, or anybody else, that same treatment.
Terminology. I don't regard pride as a virtue. It has been classically regarded as a sin. I don't see that sexual orientation or sexual desire of any sort is something to celebrate or to take pride in. And so what I said was merely a fact. Now, it's possible that I hurt someone's feelings because I pointed out that pride goes before, for example, a fall, but I don't care about that, would do it again. And also consider it my duty to warn those who are about to fall into a pit that the path they are on leads suddenly downhill. But that was probably not the reason that I was banned from Twitter, although, as I said, I am in the position of having to guess. Next phrase to interrogate. And Ellen Page. Now, why did I stop there? Because in all likelihood, it was this seemingly innocuous phrase, including the name of a well-known actress, there I'm in trouble again, that likely resulted in my ban.
And then Twitter violated their own rules by allowing her dead name to trend. We're in the Babylon Bee era of American history.
Committed the fatal crime of what has come to be known in the appalling censorial terminology of the insane activists as dead naming, which is the act of referring to someone who has transitioned, another hated piece of jargon and slogan, by the name and by the inference, the gender, really the sex.
Jordan Peterson historically has been more sensitive to these terms. He has not always been like this to these terms. He has slowly become more activated, and even he's not doing a good enough job to me articulating. He doesn't hate anyone. It could come across as that, and if you feel that way, I don't blame you. But I don't believe that. I don't know. Nobody knows. I don't believe it's hate for anybody transitioning or anything, any identification, even though they disagree fundamentally. I don't think there's any hate there. What he's saying is it has become a religion, a cult, and it's a weapon. It had become such a weapon. Anne Frank was trending on Twitter yesterday. Do you want to know why Anne Frank was trending on Twitter yesterday? Because people were arguing if she had white privilege. I am not joking, y'all. This is a death cult, period. That's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say where you're leading is to very dark places. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't want it to happen, but that's the path. Anne Frank, they're questioning Anne Frank's, like, not in a, like, would you even joke about that? It's not in a joking way. They're literally debating whether Anne Frank had white privilege on Twitter. I tried to tell my wife, I said, you won't believe this. She's not into this stuff, so she was like, well, that's weird. You know, she just was like trying to appease me, getting my emotions out. If you didn't know it was a cult, at that point you've got to know. And it's not the exact same topic, but it is the same. It's the same cult. Critical theory of race or gender. Anne Frank, obviously one of the most famous victims of the Holocaust, had to famously hide. You know, the book Diary of a Young Girl. Unbelievable stuff.
That everyone knew them by previously, and in the case of Ellen/Elliot, that millions of people recognized and knew. So I should have either called him, her, they, Elliot, instead of Ellen, although as we will discover, that would have made it impossible.
I'm not using they, them. I will call Elliot he, him, no problem. Boundaries. I don't know you like that. They, them doesn't make sense to me. It's not a disrespect. I'll call you by your name. I will never misgender you on purpose. I do have another boundary. I'm not changing names every other day. Because I know that's some other stuff. We don't know each other well enough for that. But Elliot wants to be called Elliot? Absolutely. Elliot wants to be called he, him? Absolutely. Elliot, I don't even know what Elliot wants to be called. We would have to have a conversation. Elliot wants to be called they, them? Nah, that ain't gonna work. I'll call you Elliot or he, him. Somebody wants to be called she, her? Fine. They, them, it? Nah, I'm out. That's some other stuff. We don't know each other like that. That's an attempt to compel speech from me, and that's my clear boundary. There's no right or wrong. Any person can set the boundary wherever they want to. That's not illegal. See, they're going down this path where if you do what Jordan Peterson did, can you get a job? They're labeling him as a hate dude. Recently there was somebody in a retired, I think, military person who criticized Jill Biden, and he's like suspended or something. Like, what? I can't speak? Did they suspend the one person in the military who said they hate their own country?
For me to say what I wanted to and need to say in the remaining phrases. Not that such a problem would bother those who are objecting to my speech in the first place. The next phrase is, just had her breasts removed. This bit suffers from a very similar problem. I employed the forbidden pronoun her when Elliot, Ellen, is now to be regarded as a he or else. But there's a conundrum here, to say the least, and not just for me, although I have been banned because of it. Was Elliot/Ellen a she or a he, or Ellen or Elliot, when she or he or they, that's Elliot or Elliot, by the way, had his or her or their breasts removed? If he or she was a he, then why was it necessary to have the mastectomy?
And I'm not laughing at the identity. I'm just saying, like, that was so well done how he did that. He's showing you how absurd it is without saying how absurd it is. So I'm going to stop the video there. That's basically the gist of it. I'm going to end with this. I want to end with giving props to Daily Wire. Again, I feel like I still have to always say this. I'm not saying I agree with everybody, everything they say. There's nobody who anybody agrees with 100%, other than maybe yourself. But imagine if one company had Candace Owens, Brett Cooper, Ben Shapiro, Jeremy Boring, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, Andrew Klavan, Jordan Peterson, and then they always flirt around with Tim Pool. That would be like the Avengers of the non-left media. That's Daily Wire. I've been watching Brett Cooper a lot. Brett Cooper is fire. She appeals, I think, probably to a younger audience, and she comes across really authentic. I love how they got the different camera angles with her. It's dope. She's really good. They're all good. And you need a counterbalance. So that's definitely a white pill moment. And went on the website. I keep looking to see when the kids, they'll probably do a big push for it. But the kids section is a big deal, y'all. They're doing the kids section. I played this video about this dude who went on the kids section in Netflix. And I think his kid was on there. His kid was on like the Netflix place of kids of the kid shows. And he was like, wait a second, what is this? They had shows with critical gender ideology on there. I don't know if you can filter that out. It's important. You need a place where you can go and say, hey, kids, you can watch whatever show on here pretty much and you're good. So Daily Wire is doing some stuff. Let me know what you think. Yeah, this is, I know, that's how, man, I was floored by this when I saw the Anne Frank stuff. Unbelievable. And what's happening is, this is Anna. Anna says Anne Frank was murdered for her race. It's horrific they would question that. Man, when you're in a cult and you're supposed to believe this thing, what they're doing is using, like, does it apply to this edge case? Does it? So I'm supposed to believe in white privilege. Do I apply that to Anne Frank? And we're seeing their brain freeze up and burn up like a circuit that's overheating in real life. It's not a joke what they were doing. They were real having an intense discussion about this. It wasn't a joke. And it wasn't all bots either, I don't think. Because you could see the account, like there were some accounts with 80,000 people getting involved in the discussion. A legitimate discussion. Vosh was getting involved in it. I'm not clear on what his view was, so I'm not going to say that. But if your view is anything but y'all need to get out of that cult, then I don't know what to tell you. It was crazy. But that's all I had on my mind. Shout out to Daily Wire, and everybody have a great weekend. I got to go see what my kids are doing. Hopefully they're not destroying the property. Take care.